that nobody's doing video. My mom was being.
Okay, we are live.
Oh, we're live now?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Hey, welcome everyone. This is Steve with Aptera Owners Club. I'm joined with a lot of people that were at Fully Charged, including other YouTubers, Jessica, Raj, Mike. So we will give everyone a little chance to introduce themselves. So the moderator will be Brooks, and we can introduce ourselves from that way down.
Yep. Hi, everybody. My name is Brooks. I'm just here for technical support, and I manage the Discord group a little bit. I was not at Fully Charged. I drive a Tesla Model 3, and I've also had a Chevy Bolt and a Chevy Volt before that.
Raj?
My name is Raj Gyandeep. I'm Aptera ambassador, investor. I have a 2013 Nissan Leaf. I went to the factory tour and the Fully Charged live show. Pretty awesome weekend. Looking forward to hear what everybody has to share.
Jessica?
Me or you, Jessica? Who's going?
Jessica.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Kirsch, and I am a YouTube live streamer. I'm based in South Texas, the furthest south that you can get on the border of the United States and Mexico. Brownsville, it's also called Starbase. And the Starship, SpaceX Starship rocket is being built here. And I am live streaming the progress of it on an almost daily basis. I was a speaker at Fully Charged Live on Saturday. Talk I gave was how Elon's multiplanetary mission is making life on Earth better. It was pretty cool. I live streamed it from 2 different angles. So if you are interested in seeing it, it was my first time ever giving a talk in front of people, not behind a camera. So that was pretty cool. It's on my channel, which is Jessica Kirsch, Kirsh. Thanks so much for having me up here. And the more people that I saw surrounding the Aptera Gamma, the more I was enthralled, and I just placed an order. So I'm honored to be here.
Welcome. All right, Ron.
Is anyone else hearing a spotty connection on Jessica, or is that just me?
It's just you.
Oh, dang. Hi. I'm well, as you can see, I'm Think Tank. I'm not an ambassador, but I really should be. In fact, Chris Anthony actually thought I was an ambassador. He yeah, that was pretty funny. Introduced another ambassador to me as another ambassador. So yeah, I really should be. I was at the Fully Charged event on Sunday evening, and it was awesome getting to actually sit in the car and being able to like talk with everyone. I had an Aptera shirt on, and so of course people thought I worked with them, even though the actual employees were wearing polos and I wasn't. And being there was awesome. I got to ask Chris Anthony some questions directly, and I even got some of the employees' children's perspectives on this thing, which it's really interesting getting that kind of different perspective, because we'll miss things they get and they'll get things we miss. Sorry, that went on a little too long. Oh well.
It's fine. Shane?
Hello, I go by Wrong Game here on the Discord. I am an electrical engineer and have been following Aptera for a good while, as well as a reservation holder and such. I guess I currently drive a 2014 Chevy Volt and look forward to Aptera being my next vehicle.
Great. Enigma?
Hi, Enigma 6. Just a professional nerd and fan of interesting and unusual vehicles. I do not currently have an electric car, but I would like the Aptera to be my first.
Awesome. Orlando?
Same.
I'm Orlando. I'm a retired safety specialist from UCLA and driver safety. I've been following Aptera since the mid-2000s, and they kind of went off. And then when they came back, I was so excited. So I'm a reservation holder. I am a small investor. I'm an ambassador, and I love the hell out of Aptera. I was just at a meeting earlier, was promoting it. People were fascinated. It's fun.
All right, Mike.
Glad to be part of that.
Cyber owners, you there? Okay, maybe he's having some.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I'm Mike. My YouTube channel is Cyber Owners. My Twitter is Tesla Truck Club. I am a Tesla Model 3 and Model Y owner. Owners Club president for Western North Carolina for Tesla. And I am an investor in Aptera and currently have 10 pre-ordered.
10? Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, why 10? You got like a crew or something?
Rentals.
Gotcha. Neil?
Oh, I think
Neil,
I saw someone like that at the other live event they did. Someone said that they were going to like Airbnb, but for car then, or whatever it's called.
Okay. Neil, can you hear us? Are you working? Is it working? I think Neil's having some problems. Okay. All right. So I would like to start with, I guess I don't see any questions here. If you guys have questions, please put them in the chat, the people watching on YouTube. But as we see the questions, we'll try to answer them. But as I start, I guess I'd like to start with Jessica, since you just ordered the Aptera. Did you know about Aptera before? What were your impressions? Did you get to sit in it? Because I think the rest of us are kind of longtime Aptera followers, and you seem to be kind of a little bit, am I wrong in assuming that you're kind of recent to the game?
I'm a newbie. I have been interested in electric vehicles for many years. I've been following Tesla and other ones, but most specifically just Tesla. I helped start the Phoenix Owners Club for Tesla when I lived in Arizona, and so as an enthusiast, I still don't drive an electric vehicle. I'm waiting to pay cash for one. Anyways, Aptera, I actually have a friend who was an ambassador maybe a year or 2 years ago. His name is Rex, and I stumbled across him on Twitter. He was posting about how he builds solar trailers, and I kind of dived into it and asked him if we could do a live stream about what he does, because I found it fascinating. And then I learned that he was an ambassador, and then I started learning about Aptera, and Chris Anthony, he told me that Chris watched my YouTube channel or had seen it or something and had seen part of my story about me moving to Texas and had offered batteries for a solar setup that I've been working on, or I was working on at the time. I didn't end up bringing the batteries down with me. Rex has them, but that's really my first introduction to the Aptera brand is, the CEO reaching out and donating these batteries to this cause.
Wow.
It was, I'm still floored. But anyways, yeah, it wasn't until I saw it this past weekend. I actually did not take the chance to sit in it, only because I had all my camera gear and just setting it to the side just to wait in the line. I feel I have separation anxiety with my camera gear. But I was filming everybody getting in and out, and it was just the look on people's faces, and it's so innovative, it's so futuristic, it's so great for the haters who are like, that'll never happen. It's like, oh, it's happening. I'm inspired by that. So I mean, what the heck, I've had to let go of a Model Y. Earlier this year, I had a Model 3 on order, and I'm letting it go, or I had to let it go recently. So because I can't afford to pay cash for it, and this is I don't take on debt anymore. I will no longer do that. Not interested. So this is half the price. If I could afford this, then the one thing I would be missing is its ability to tow. I actually asked during the unveil to Chris if it could tow, and he said it wasn't on the priority list, which I totally understand. But that's the one thing that I need as I live in an RV travel trailer. It's 29 feet, 6,000 pounds. I have a Cybertruck on order. Obviously, it's going to be crazy expensive, but it would be able to tow. So,
it's funny you mentioned
anyways.
that because I actually saw Chris saying to, I think it was somebody from the from Fully Charged itself, actually mention towing, like in an interview with them. Sorry, didn't mean to steal your thunder. I just thought that was weird because he's telling us two different things. But you asked him directly, and they didn't. So yeah. So he just made it sound like, yeah, you could use this thing to like tow or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be towing an RV with this thing, though.
That's
So
what I was thinking. I'm like, you can tow this thing?
yeah,
Probably
I
not.
think the initial thing, I don't know that it's, they said a lot of things at the beginning, which I think they said before they had done all the engineering on the vehicle. And initially they said something like you could tow something that's like 300 pounds. So something very, very small. Okay. One of the questions I think that it would be most helpful for panelists to answer, because it's something that you have to be there firsthand for, is some people are asking, what did you feel like? How comfortable was it? What were the ergonomics of it when you sat down in the vehicle? So whoever wants to comment on that.
I'm 6'2", just under 6'2", and I did have a chance to sit in the Alpha Noor, I guess, the silver one.
Orlando, you're going in and
And
out.
how about now, man? Okay.
Better.
Okay, I'll kind of put my face up here on the. Anyway, so when I got into the Alpha, I was like, whoa, it was a little bit tight in for my legs. I was really concerned, but they were saying, don't worry, we're gonna open. So when I sat in the Gamma, it was like night and day. Whoa, it had a lot of room, headroom. And then when I saw Raj's video, thank you so much, Raj. That was a great video that you did. It's really comfortable. I was really pleased. And getting in and out of it was easier. It's just I still have to sit in it first. I think that's the best way to get in and out. Get in, sit in first, get out, and swing both legs out. That's what I found easier for me. But that's my comment on the size. It definitely was roomy, felt comfortable. Because I was in a long line, I didn't have a chance to really detail get into the UI and all the other stuff. But that was my first gut for the 30 seconds to a minute I was allowed to sit in it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had a similar opinion. I was able to sit in both the Gamma and the Alpha at the show. They definitely increased the size for going to Gamma, a lot more comfortable. The Alpha felt like it was going to be a bit cramped, even though they wouldn't let us close the door on that one. I am, for reference, 5'8", 200 pounds, so average size, not super tall, not super short. They were not allowing us to adjust the driver's seat in the Gamma, so I wasn't able to get up to a typical driving position that I would use. But it's, there's a decent amount of room for comfort in that.
Yeah, just to quickly echo that, it fit me very well. The seat was too far back. I actually couldn't even reach the pedals. My toes could barely touch them. So if I could get in a normal driving position, it was very, very comfortable, and I could definitely see like the two screens, like the side screens, very, very easily too. They weren't cut off at all.
It just occurred to me that I never actually bothered to check and see if I could reach the pedals. That's weird. But yeah, if anyone like watching this only got a chance to sit in the Alpha, rest assured, the Gamma is much bigger and roomier. I'm like 6'1", 230 pounds, and I was able to fit very comfortably. And oddly enough, in contrast to what Raj, is that how I pronounce it? Raj? Sorry, I don't want to mispronounce it.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah, in contrast to what Raj said, oddly enough, the way that it was positioned that did not work for him, weirdly enough, was perfect for me. Like, it was it felt so wrong, because like you're practically reclining. It's like a recliner, but I had like a perfect view. Like I could see myself in the mirror, right, and everything just felt like how I would, it felt like the usual. It didn't feel like a usual driving position. It kind of felt illegal, to be honest. It felt like I was too far back. But the view and how the mirrors were set up, weirdly enough, just felt absolutely normal. So I don't really know how to describe it other than it feels illegal, but it looked perfect for me. So like I could actually have driven like that without having to make any adjustments.
Also add that I sat in the passenger seat, and I'm 5'9", and I had to scoot myself down and stretch my toes to be able to reach all the way down into the footwell.
Yeah, so I'm 5'11", and they had the thing all the way back. I couldn't reach the pedals, and I had probably 5 inches of headroom over me. So I think and they released a video of the guy who's in one of the presenters for Fully Charged. He's 6'5" and a little bit, I think, and he's a big guy. He fit in there. I don't know if it was like super comfortable, but his head wasn't hitting the roof or anything. So I think definitely 6'5" people, you should be okay. I think if you're much bigger than 6'5", it may be a tight fit. But if you're that big, you should definitely like sit in the thing before you order the vehicle. But I'll tell you, as like anyone around 6 feet tall and under, you're gonna be fine. There's gonna be no issue with you fitting in there. In terms of the seat comfort, I'm not very picky about it, and it felt fine to me. I don't know if any of you guys thought it was particularly good or bad. Chime in if you thought that the seats were particularly good or bad. In terms of the stuff in the center console, I was told that the materials are going to change, and you could kind of tell that they were rushed and they were trying to get everything ready for the show, and they had like basically like stapled some of the stuff onto the center console, and it was a little bit loose. So it was there for kind of a visual analysis and to see how things fit, but it's not, the center console fit and finish was not what it's going to be. And visibility I thought was fine. They didn't let us close the door, so I couldn't really tell what the visibility is like. Any of you guys that went to the factory tour, did they let you close the door and sit in the vehicle? And what was the visibility like?
They didn't let anybody sit in the Gamma at the factory tour. It was just look only.
I see.
They wanted to keep drifting for the show.
Makes sense.
So there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, because I was at the factory tour, and some guy was I forget, one of the, it might have been Chris, one of the Aptera staff was around the vehicle, and one of the ambassadors started to close the door, and I think it was Chris said, "No, don't do that." And the reason why was because it's one of the first alphas. When you close the door, the wing door, it was hitting the wind, those pant wheels covers on the front. It was on the passenger side, so I guess that's why they had the they had a little adjustment to it. But the Gamma, they improved it like night and day, man.
Yeah, as I saw that on the video, and then at the show they were closing the passenger door. So if you were sitting on the passenger seat, the workers at the booth would close the door, not to latch, but just to hold it there. I was able to get them to do that for me, and even with the door closed, it was not cramped. And I saw somebody else when they're sitting in there when they closed. I made sure to watch, and there was a good 4 to 6 inch separation between the wheel pants and the door when it came down at the closest.
And how was the visibility out the front with the A pillars? Because some people are mentioning that they thought the A pillars were pretty big. And do you feel like
pay attention to that?
Are you saying A pillars?
Yes.
I don't know what that means, but regarding the door, the reason why they wouldn't let you close it at the Fully Charged show actually had something to do with basically being locked in, because basically they told me it's because the car's not on, so you could lock yourself in. I actually saw someone accidentally do that to themselves, and well, they got out pretty quick, so that was weird. But yeah, the door was able to close fine. They just didn't want to lock anyone in. And I didn't think to check the visibility from the side, but from the front, well, I still don't know what exactly you're talking about that people were concerned about, but I had like a perfect view. Like I said, it was already as if I had adjusted it for myself, so I'm a bit biased, but like I could see like nothing was obstructing the windshield, for me at least.
Yeah, the A pillar for reference is the part of the frame between the windshield and the door.
Mhm.
So
That's
between the
right.
windshield and the door windows, that's your A pillar space.
Right.
So is that something you could only test if it was like closed?
Yeah.
Just to see how wide that is and if that obstructs visibility. And I also heard the same thing about them not wanting to close the doors because they don't want the car to drain of power because the doors are electronically controlled, and they did not have the car plugged in to an auxiliary power port, so they didn't want to drain everything and then have the door electronics fail. So
oh God, they better not have that be only electronically controlled in the final. That's just another point of failure.
I did get confirmation that there will be a mechanical door release accessible from inside. So I did bring that up to the person that I was talking to. So when they were doing I made sure to check that because that was definitely high on my paranoia list. And so when they were doing the door closing, the person would close it and just hold it open just like an inch to keep it from latching.
Yeah.
So they give you the experience of having the door closed, but not like fully close it to latch.
Yeah, you can see that in my my video with my friend that came with me. He's 6'5", and they wanted to close the door and see how it was with him inside. So
Yeah. So
it must have something
Mike
to do
has
with the fact that. Sorry.
Mike
Who-
has a
who
good
was that?
video about with a guy that's 6'5", and he's not a thin guy either. He's like a big 6'5" guy, right, Mike?
yeah,
Yeah, and
he's
he
big.
fit. I mean, it was a little snug for him, I could tell. So I think if you are that big, you should definitely sit in one and see how comfortable it is for you. I mean, he definitely fits. I don't know how comfortable it was for him. Did he say anything to you?
He said it was comfortable, and he was actually looking at ordering one after he sat in it.
Okay, all right, that's good.
I'm worried about the doors for anyone who's 6'5". Like I'm only 6'1", and I still had to be worried about bumping my head on the doors. Also, I'm guessing that the reason why they didn't have a mechanical mechanism was because it was rushed and they really wanted to demonstrate the whole knock to open thing. Because, yeah, apparently you can just knock to get the doors open if you want, if you're fancy like that. But I'm really relieved to know that I won't have to rely on, purely electronics just to get in and out of my freaking car.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that the mechanical will be for like the emergency release. So for normal use, it would be the electronic open to get in and out. I think Tesla does the same kind of thing. The mechanical release on the Tesla doors, I've heard those are not intended for daily use.
That they're just an emergency
Well, that's
thing.
just dumb.
So the knock to open, I was told, is not a final. It's not for sure going to be a feature. They're just trying it out, and so that the knock to open the trunk and the door may or may not be in the production. Did any of you guys hear differently?
I didn't, but that makes sense because it certainly was stylish, especially when he said the future is knocking and then opened it by, knocking. But I didn't hear anything about that, but that's really interesting to hear because are there even door handles on this thing? Can somebody tell me if there's actual door handles? I can't remember.
On the outside, no.
No, it's just once the pressure is released from the locking mechanism, the hydraulics just kind of lift it up for you.
Did anyone ask just how big of a mileage difference stuff like putting door handles and having actual mirrors instead of cameras would actually make in terms of range? Did anyone ask that?
No, I didn't ask that.
Typically around 3 to 5%.
Who said that?
I did. Wrong game.
Thank you, wrong game.
Typical...
3 to 5%. Well, to be honest, I could totally live with that. I for one could absolutely live with that 5% difference.
Okay.
Yeah, I would prefer mechanical door handles as well. In the the guy I was talking to at the booth. I think he said there might be a like emergency use mechanical door handle on the outside as well. The doors operate through proximity, so you either have the app on your phone or have the RFID key card that you have to have right up close to unlatch it. Like I said, the knock is a fancy, possibly optional feature. There might be some other thing you just tap on it or something with the card.
I wonder what sort of mileage, like having that sort of feature to like open when you're in proximity. Like, I wonder how much mileage you would gain if that wasn't a thing, if the car wasn't like always on like that.
Okay, Think Tank, I'm gonna ask you to slow down on the talking and give other people a chance to talk, because people on YouTube are asking to have other people be allowed to talk.
My apologies. Yes, I do talk too much. You're absolutely correct.
Okay, all right, so let's go through some of these questions here. There was talk about a third seat. So Chris mentioned that, and I think Chris says a lot of things that may or may not actually happen in the future, because when I talk to the engineers, a lot of them seem to be oblivious of these things, and they're the ones actually working on it. What are you guys' feelings on that?
Yeah, I heard him say that more than once, which was kind of odd. I don't know how they would fit a third seat anywhere in there.
Yeah,
where would it go?
I looked at the empty shell, and I don't really know how they would fit a third seat in there myself either.
So if I remember correctly, the specific wording was that they will add it in the base model. Now, I construed that as the 45 and the 25, or sorry, the 400 and the 250 mile battery packs. But I believe that may just be the 250 mile battery pack. And looking at some potential battery layouts for that battery, they would have all of the rear modules removed. So you would only have 3 modules in it. And that would allow another about 4 inches of footroom below the floor.
I think the issue is that the current shell that they have has a large tunnel right down the middle between the 2 seats, and it goes all the way to the rear deck. And unless they change that, there's no way you're going to fit a third seat in there.
And what about the trunk? Like, unless they somehow didn't scoot it back any further than the other seats, which I don't see how they would fit it, wouldn't that cut into the trunk space?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you'd give up with a third seat, and I think the people who want the third seat, that's fine. And then the other thing that he mentioned was something that I've been asking him about, and I think a lot of people have been asking about, is like the ability to put extra solar panels and plug them in later. And he mentioned in the reveal that that would be a thing that they would offer as an option. And then I asked the solar guys about it, and they had no clue about it.
To kind of add on that, it seems like I heard him talk about that again, Chris, that they might rely on the kind of third party to kind of attach it to the car. So maybe Aptera won't offer that directly, but a third party could maybe add a adapter of some sort to have it charge the car.
Yeah.
When I was talking to them about solar, they were mentioning things about oversizing the MPPT charge controller. So they were, as far as I remember, they were aiming for around 1.7 kilowatt maximum power for that.
That seems familiar, yeah.
And as far as I know, they would also have some sort of connection. Now, if that was available out externally to the vehicle, that I believe is where the question lies.
Yeah, because
my first thought was,
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, my first thought was an easy way they could do this is, you know, those like things people put over their cars, like, you know, windshield, or, well, not, they don't put it over, they put it, you know, like on the inside to block the sun. Like, that would be a very easy way to add extra solar panels. I guess the issue is, how would you connect it?
Yeah, that was another idea that people have floated about, is having like a sun shield that's solar panels that you could use up, because a lot of people that live in very hot areas like South Texas, Southern California, you don't want the sun coming in. So having that dash solar cells, like I would cover that up if I parked my car outside because it gets really hot. So having a solar shield that does that is an idea that many people have kind of asked for, and I don't know if they're doing that. But the solar guy said they do have extra overhead, so theoretically it's possible to do it, but they weren't aware that they were actually working on that.
One thing just to add quick on the heat inside the car, I asked him about the solar, like sunshade. He said, probably not, but they said there were going to be coatings on the windows to not allow extra heat, like a UV coating, so it's not going to be heated up as much from just like a normal window.
Ooh, nice. Makes sense, because it's solar, you want it to be out.
So you still get enough through to like charge the solar inside the car, but not enough to let heat in, kind of thing, is what he told me. And that interview is up on my YouTube too.
Then there's another question about the location of the rear cameras, and I think they're below the deck. They're in that vertical piece that's below the horizontal deck.
They're
not up high by the. They're not in the hatch. They're down lower.
Yeah, there's two actually. There's like a narrow field of view and a wide like fish angle or wide fisheye. So the fisheye is more like for when you're in reverse, and the narrow is what you would see on the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I believe in the renders for Gamma, they had the narrow to the right-hand side if you're facing the back of the vehicle, to the right-hand side of the license plate right on the edge, and they had the wide field of view just below that, just below the center of the license plate.
I just want to go back to the solar panels, the extra solar panels, or I saw somebody in the chat say maybe they'll have an option for third-party panels to be able to plug in. And I'm not sure if that's a possibility, but my live stream setup is out of the back of my hatchback, and I have a big, I think it's 1500. Well, it's a Jackery, it's a battery pack, and then I have 4 100-watt solar panels that I deploy to maintain my charge throughout the day. And then plugged into my battery pack is my Starlink dish, which I put on top of my car, and that's how I live stream every day. And the ability to plug in those Jackery panels would be amazing, just to like do some trickle charging would be really, really great. I'm not sure if they've considered that, but speaking from experience in South Texas, it is really helpful to have that extra solar.
They also, they're making their own solar panels, and they're actually, I asked Chris about this, and if it would make any sense to like go to other clients, and he said that they're in talks. Apparently I should take everything that Chris says with a grain of salt, though. But yeah, he said that they have other clients and they make their own panels, so it seems like it would be really obvious for them to like make a solar like dashboard or windshield accessory in the future, because that would, be a good extra source of revenue.
Yeah. I think like for that, the extra solar panels is something that I think would be awesome, and I hope they do it. And I would love that. And the third seat is also something that it was like when they first rebooted in like 2019 and they were on the WeFunder, that was one of the first things I asked on the WeFunder thing, like, can we get a third seat? Because a third seat would be really cool to have a third seat. I would give up trunk space to have a third seat, or like a little jump seat that folds or something that you can take in and out. That would be great. It would increase the usability of it quite a bit for me.
I heard Chris say that their 4-seater version's actually going to be a 4-wheeler. Did anyone hear anything about that, or is that just me?
I think that any 4-seater is just like way in the future. That's just like it's a pipe dream at this point. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what you guys think.
It's in the plans, but it's like way down the road.
Like they need to deliver this car.
Exactly.
And
I was talking to Jason.
that's going to be a tall order to deliver this car.
I was talking to Jason Hill, and he was saying they knew they had this was more at the Long Beach event. He was saying, yeah, we knew we had to we had to stop making still pondering too many decisions, and they knew they had to get this thing out the door by the end of the year, although looks like they're not going to get car delivered in December based on what Chris said at the factory tour. It's going to happen. They will start delivering vehicles for sure first quarter of 23.
From what he said, first deliveries would be in Q2. They would spend the first quarter of next year doing crash testing and validation.
I don't recall him giving a time frame on that. He just said the first part of the year we're going to crash test, and then we'll start delivering vehicles. Because that's really I didn't even ask him the question on delivery. The question was, when are you going to start doing crash testing, and are you going to use the Gamma or the Delta? And that's when he said, no, well, the Delta. The first time I heard him say out of his mouth that it's going to happen after December, and they'll do the crash testing of the Deltas, and then start delivering and wrapping up in early 2023. So I guess first quarter sounds about right, I guess.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Could they even legally do crash testing on the Gamma? Pretty sure it was obviously the Delta.
There's no legality to it. They just hire a company that does it, or they go to there's a government agency that does it, but a lot of people just go to these private contractors that do the testing for you. He said
he did say that they weren't going to do crash testing until they had Delta.
Correct.
Because right now they don't have the final car.
Yeah, I actually remember seeing, I think it was on a video where he mentioned that the body changes between the Alpha and the Gamma had already changed so drastically that the previous crash testing data they had to be redone. So, yeah, maybe it could be a similar story between that and the Delta.
All right, someone's asking if the copper connectors on the roof would remain visible in Delta, and I was told that that's up in the air. They would decide which way is the easiest and most reliable way to manufacture it. And if it is with the copper connectors visible, then it would be. If it was with them not visible, that's the way it would be. So that's not clear whether it would be in the Delta or not. I personally love the look of it. I think it looks great.
Just to add quickly to that, I did ask them about that, and they were trying to get feedback basically from all of us if we like the look of the copper, or they could cover it like another color like aluminum, or just cover it completely so it's all blacked out and you can't really see them. So it's not finalized at all in any regard.
Do you like it?
I like the copper, yeah. I like seeing it, but I just wonder how the copper would react to UV, over time.
I like the look.
Yeah, I liked it.
Regarding the copper thing, I actually remember in one of the videos I saw, someone mentioned that it was a style thing, they wanted to emphasize or draw attention to the way it's connected or something. So I'm not saying that you guys are wrong, that they're undecided. I'm just saying that from the sound of it, the whole copper thing was literally just a presentation for show thing, kind of like the knocking. We're not even trying to put this into the final. We just want you to see this to be oh, wow, pretty. That's just my extrapolation based off of 2 seconds of audio, though.
Yeah, it's interesting because the dash panels, you don't see the copper connectors, they're hidden. It was functional.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, well, sounds like you guys don't have too many questions out there on YouTube. I'm trying to read them, and it's mostly discussion. So I will go over to...
Are there any questions in Discord?
I'll move over to Raj and Mike. You guys were at the factory tour, and you guys saw a presentation of the assembly line. And I know you guys took videos of that, but it wasn't super clear in your videos. So can you tell us, what you thought of the assembly line setup?
Right now, they don't really have anything set up. They've
Right,
got
they had
some
that
lines on
video,
the
right?
floor. What's
Yeah,
that?
They had a video of like a mock-up of how they wanted the assembly lines done, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Did that make sense to you when you saw it?
Yeah, it did, definitely.
yeah, seems like they're really taking the time to set up the factory right from the beginning, which is really encouraging. And I do think if you look closely at the footage of that, I'm pretty sure the vehicles in that video is actually Delta because it looks actually different from Gamma already. So it's almost like a sneak peek into Delta, I believe.
Yeah, there's
Just
a
the hats looks
scene.
different.
There's a scene at the beginning of your video, Raj, where they show the rear of a vehicle being assembled with solar already on it.
Yep.
And I can tell you that there are many more solar cells than there were previously.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. Maybe
Okay,
even get like 45 miles a day instead of 40, something like that.
let's look at, I think there's some questions. There's some questions about the steering ratio. I was told that this is not a drive-by-wire and that a variable steering ratio is probably not going to happen, probably. But they could adjust the amount of boost that the steering assist motor gives. I don't know if any of you guys heard something different.
Yeah, so I
Can you
actually
translate
asked.
that into something that my smooth brain can understand? Because I didn't get any of that.
So variable ratio means with a yoke, you can have it theoretically so that when you're, like when you're going at low speed, that small movements will make the wheels turn more. Whereas if you're going at high speed, small movements make the wheels turn less. And so you don't have to turn the yoke multiple times when you're making maneuvers. So that's the idea. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
actually asked Chris about drive-by-wire directly, and he said, no, it's not drive-by-wire, but it will be variable based on your speed. So if you're parking the car, you would only have to do, I forget the degrees he said, but it would be a partial turn, not a full turn of the wheel or yoke.
Yeah, and it's something to keep in mind. This would be later, but like torque vectoring would help with that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think mostly people were the people asking the variable ratio steering are worried about having to turn the yoke over. We don't know the yoke lock to lock either. That's not something that they told us. Let's see, feel of the yoke. Okay, so that's something we should all go into. I felt the yoke, and it felt a little like rubbery to me. It felt, I don't know how to describe it. It was like kind of neoprene rubbery. Did you guys touch the yoke?
Yeah.
How would you describe it? Did I lose you guys? Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, in terms of feel, like when you see an image of it, you imagine that it's like rubberized with indents basically, but it's actually very smooth to the touch. And I think I agree with Steve that it is kind of rubbery and almost slick, maybe.
Yeah.
It was an interesting feel, but I think it is a natural feel, and I thought it was really comfortable.
Yeah, it felt
I
fine.
thought
It
it
was
was
kind of
comfortable
squishy.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't unusual enough that it stood out that I paid much attention to it.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
softer
I'm
than.
glad.
Okay, go ahead, Orlando.
Yeah, I like the way the yoke is because it's round at the bottom, and when I grab that, I guess at the 6 and 9 position, they have the sort of about 2 or 3 inches kind of extend above that bar across the top. It felt comfortable, and it feel like you're saying like rubbery-ish, but the bottom part of it was more coffee-ish feeling. But hopefully, when I do a test drive when I get this going, it would be nice to check out how it actually steers.
Yeah. And if there's much difference in texture between the black and the white portions of it.
Just
Because I
more.
come from, yeah, I come from the safety background, so I was really concerned about, the hand over hand steering or push pull. I saw that consumer video about, they're saying it's legal. It's a legal steering wheel, and but they were looking at a yoke that was from a Tesla, and the Tesla yoke is more rectangular, and there's no nubs up. They come up like this one. This is the bottom of it is round, and the top of it is, is what's missing. But it still has those nubs, those 2 or 3 inches of steering wheel above the bar across the middle of the steering wheel. But uh, I'm looking forward to checking it out. I didn't like, some people are so dead set against it. I'm kind of like Steve, like indifferent. Okay, I'm gonna check it out, even though from the safety I'm thinking about it, but well, I'm pretty sure I'll get used to it.
Just
Okay, someone's asking about whether investors get to skip the line, and I don't think that that's something that they're going to do. I think the way it's going to be done in terms of who gets it, it seems like it's in the order that you ordered it, and then also what model you order. So if you get the 40 kilowatt hour battery, you can get it a little sooner. And then if you're closer to Aptera, like in Southern California, you're getting it sooner. So it's kind of a combination of those 3 factors: the model you order, when you ordered it, and how close you are to Aptera. Because I think they want to keep the initial rollouts close by, because if there's any issues, then you can take it to, they can come out and fix it for you. They don't want to ship it out to, Texas or something and then have a hard time fixing any small issues that are inevitably going to be happening in the first couple of models. And then there was another question about the having an inverter so that you have a plug. There's a lot of talk, so that's called vehicle to load, and then there's talk about vehicle to home and vehicle to grid, and a lot of people want that, but the impression I got from everything Chris says is that he would like to have vehicle to home and vehicle to grid, but the protocols for that are not hammered out, so I don't know that that's happening early. But vehicle to load, to like have a 120 volt plug, that's relatively easy to implement, so I'm thinking they'll do that. Any of you guys feel differently about that?
Well, Steve, does vehicle to load, that means like if I want to do a coffee maker or a mixer or a toaster, that's what you mean by vehicle to load?
Correct. So I think that's
I
pretty
hope
easy
they
to
do that.
implement, and I think they will do that, but they haven't committed to any of that.
yeah,
The
I've heard.
vehicle,
Yeah, so I think that's what's happening to there. And someone wanted to know about can the AC work when it's 105 degrees? That's definitely within the operating parameters. I asked them if it would work in 125 degrees, and they said maybe not for that, but 105, no problem.
away from
All right, anyone have a few?
So regarding the inverter, I remember at one point when they used to have the Q&A, they definitely said that there would be an inverter. I remember it was a question that was asked a lot, and I would refer people back to that document.
Yeah.
I don't know if things have changed since then. That was quite a while ago.
Right. I think, like it seems like they just got their solar working not too long ago, in the past several months. So I think a lot of things that they were saying was kind of hopeful, and now they're very close to production, and so now things are getting more finalized. So I don't know. Yeah, I know. So I saw that in the FAQ long ago, and I think that vehicle to load is going to happen because it's fairly easy to implement. But people hoping for vehicle to load or vehicle to grid, I think if that happens, that's happening way down the line. So someone's asking about fully enclosed alpha. Did they drive fast enough to get a feel of wind noise? So there's only 2 vehicles that any of us have gotten a ride in, and those are the alphas and the betas. The beta is an open cockpit, so it's just tons of wind noise. The alpha is very rickety. You can feel everything rattle. So you don't hear too much wind noise, but everything's rattly. And the gamma feels much tighter. And so I suspect that's going to feel much better. Any of you guys ridden the alpha or the beta, you can comment.
I was
I
just
got
gonna
a chance. Go ahead, Raj.
I was just gonna mention I was talking to one of the employees about the gamma with like testing like range because they haven't really tested that per se, but since gamma is so close to production, they can actually start testing and validating their mile range soon.
Going back to the comparison, I unfortunately I never had a chance to ride in the alpha, only sit in it. Now I did get a chance to ride in the beta. Now, based on the videos of everybody I've seen, like Steve, you rode in it, and yeah, you can hear the creakiness, right? The little rattling, and then when you went over the bumps in that parking lot, you could hear it. When I took the ride with Will, man, it felt tight. It felt when we went over the bumps, it just felt good. Then when we got on the road, it felt good. The only thing was that Will had just gotten hired, so he didn't really want to punch it, man. I really wanted him to like lay on the throttle, man, and come on. I wanted to feel the, which I never did. I couldn't with that vehicle. He just kind of kept the speed mellow. But I'm sure some of you, Steve, have you felt the? Did you get a chance to punch it and really feel the power when you rode in it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like a sports car. I mean, I'm not a sports car guy, so I don't have I have never ridden in a Ferrari or anything like that, but it felt super fast. Very fast.
Did you feel the difference then when from the beta as far as the ride goes?
Yeah, so I rode the alpha first, and that was very quick. It felt very quick, and the beta felt like ridiculously quick. And they said that the beta was detuned at the time that I rode it, so it could go even faster than what I felt. It's very quick. I mean, I don't have much of a frame of reference. I don't ride supercars or anything, but it is plenty quick. I think it's just because it's so light. Yeah, Jessica?
Yeah, in terms of load capacity, and I'm saying load as in stuff that you can carry in it. I can't remember exactly what he said can be carried, but I do have a concern only from watching some people get in and out of the car and seeing the car kind of move from side to side,
Yes.
which is, I think, to be expected with its design. I asked if I would be able to carry, 500 pounds worth of live stream gear in it, and I think one of the engineers said, not advisable, but if you did, then you wouldn't want to have anybody in the front seat, which obviously I wouldn't put anybody in the front seat, but just trying to figure out how I would organize my gear, if it would have to, be split, the weight distribution, kind of like a boat, if you're pulling somebody behind. I'm just curious if anybody has any insight into that.
I think all we know is that the stated capacity of the Aptera is 500 pounds. That's passengers plus cargo. So that doesn't, like, if you have two people in there, that doesn't leave that much extra weight for cargo. Now that's the stated range, stated capacity of the car, and people overload cars all the time. At least in countries outside the U.S., they overload cars all the time. So I suspect that you can carry more than 500 pounds, but it just won't handle like it's supposed to. The braking distance and the handling won't be as good.
Speaking of cargo, I wanted to specifically, because I mentioned this in the chats that we've had in these past few months, of cargo hooks or D-rings, whatever. Usually we put them in the corners of the floor bed of the cargo area, and they did not have them installed. Did anybody at Fully Charged get a chance to confirm with anybody if they are planning to put in cargo hooks, just like they have in a Prius?
Yes,
Anybody?
they are going to have cargo hooks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Raj, did you talk to anyone about the off-road package, or Mike, did you have a chance to talk to anyone about the off-road package? Any details on that?
I did ask them, and it seems like maybe nothing's like, it seems like it's pretty low on their list. But
Yeah.
talking about maybe manual way to like put some spacers in, and I them about like the audio upgrade. That was a question earlier. And they said that's pretty low on the priority list too, so it's not really finalized there either.
Yeah, I kind of like that they're focusing on getting the vehicle out, because I think if they just focus on all the little options, that it's just going to delay forever. So I do understand them trying to focus on that, and I agree with that personally. Mike, did you have a chance to ask them about the off-road package?
No, I didn't. I should have, because that's going to be a requirement for
Right,
where
you're
I
going to
live.
want that. I think a lot of people want that because they're very concerned about how the wheel pants or the wheel shrouds or the wheel nacelles are going to be low to the ground, and they're going to hit potholes and things like that. And then the off-road package will have higher clearance and hopefully will negate that concern. Because
So my son actually drives a Chevy Volt, and the front of his car scrapes my driveway when he pulls in.
because you have a pretty steep driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that Charles mentioned is that they were making the front parts of it out of that EVA foam, and that if you had like a driveway that scrapes, it would just scrape it away to the appropriate size. And he what he said was the perfect wheel pant is one that hits the ground all the time, aerodynamically, but practically not. Yeah, that's not true. So they're trying to like optimize the aerodynamics, but make it a practical car, and they haven't decided exactly what amount of clearance that is.
Steve, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when I was at the show, I noticed that when a couple of big guys would get in, that back wheel was very low, sitting low to the ground. So I know that they're going to have to play with the suspension a little bit, with raising it up a little bit and finding that sweet spot where it won't scrape, but still give that aerodynamic look.
Right, and that's a good point, because the front wheel pants move up and down with the wheel, so that they don't need that much clearance, but the back wheel moves up and down within the cover, so that one could bottom out. So that's a good point.
Yeah, they'll have to fine tune the suspension to get, to maintain a comfortable ride, but keep it stiff enough to not bottom out.
Yeah, I think my guess is that they're going to come up with wheel pants that are just bigger, higher up for the off-road package. And I don't know that they're going to do too much more, but I don't know. I think that's on the back
Steve,
burner.
Steve, when you did one of your videos, the one where you interviewed Chris Anthony, you talked about the off-wheel packaging. I had initially ordered it, but based on the conversation, I nexted it, and that is because it sounds like they're not doing anything. They're not beefing up the suspension. All they're doing is just making the wheel pants and I guess the rear skirt higher and maybe a little bit sturdier. But it sounded like they really weren't doing any beefiness or actually tuning the suspension.
Yeah,
Anybody here?
I actually don't know. I don't think they know what they plan on doing with it. It was like a cool idea, and they're probably going to get to it. But right now, I think they're focused on engineering like this vehicle.
If all else, they talked about you could remove the wheel wells and the real covers and have like, only clearance would be the belly of the Aptera too, if you need to take them all off to go off road quickly.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if everybody remembers the Beetle where you took the kind where you took the fenders off. That's kind of the same idea, right, Raj?
Yeah, pretty similar.
Yeah, so the question is, does anyone plan on doing serious off-roading or just driving on dirt surface roads? I mean, there's different levels of off-roading, and I don't think anyone seriously thinks that an Aptera is a real off-road vehicle. I think most people are just thinking dirt roads. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, one of the Aptera employees said it could handle like a fire road, for example, easily.
Right. I think that's what they mean. They mean like fire roads, dirt roads. They do not mean like going to like rock crawling like people do in Jeeps in Utah and things like that. Like it's definitely not doing that. Okay. All right. Well, we're at about an hour. Do you guys have any final words of anything you noticed about the Gamma when you were there before we wrap this up? And thanks for joining,
Well, there's one
everyone.
thing. There is one comment, actually, an observation, a piece of information that I picked up, and that is about the paradigm editions and the very first vehicles, the people that are, like, first in line. That all the chat that I have seen has been saying they're going to be hand built, and then they're going to ramp up using the production line. And my thinking was, well, you have to get this thing going and trained and timed. So I asked that directly to Chris and to Pablo Ucar. Are the Paradigm Editions, the very first vehicles you deliver, are they going to be hand built or on a production line? He goes, oh, no way, hand built. They're all production line. They're not going to be, it's not going to be built at the speed once they start spitting out, what is it? What do they got? 40,000, 40 a day. But they're going to be on the production. All of the ones that are going to be sold to people will be made on the production line.
I have a final statement or a final thought that I found really interesting that Chris mentioned in the presentation. I myself, I'm a DIYer. I like to figure things out or take things apart, put them back together, figure out what's inside, make them better, kind of stuff. I've been doing it since I was a kid. And I heard him mention that they were a right to repair company, and I think that's a really big deal. That if something is broken or needs replacing, if they will send you the part, and I think it was like a really short time period, and instruct you on how to do it, or maybe there'll be videos or something. I can't remember what he said, but that spoke to me, like spoke volumes to me. I haven't heard of any other car manufacturer, to my knowledge, say that before. So that like grasped my heart, basically. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite quote features of the Aptera is the right to repair. And that's one of the reasons that I haven't bought a Tesla yet. I love Teslas. I think they're great cars, but they're, when they're in their warranty period, it's great. But once you're out, you're kind of on your own. And that's where it's like extremely expensive repair. So, yeah, the right to repair was huge for me.
Yeah, so my understanding of that is that I don't know if they're going to send it to you. Maybe they will if you request it, but they're going to basically publish repair manuals publicly so that everyone will have access to them. And then if you ever need it repaired, you can take it to just like any shop, and they can refer the repair manuals and get it fixed up for you under warranty, possibly.
And also in that regard, they're also going to open it up so that there'll be a lot of third-party applications. So, if somebody can come up with putting a third seat in there, they'd be more than willing to give them all the plans they need to do that.
Right. Okay. Before we wrap up, Neil, did you want to say a little something about the clubs? And can you come closer to the mic because you're kind of going in and out?
Okay. All right. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. So I just want to quickly say that, there's been a lot of interest in the club now, the local clubs. And so the plan is to have them pretty much in every state. And we'll start first in Southern California. I'll be putting together a Google form for people to fill out for their interest in starting up the club. There's a lot of work involved, so it's not somebody just do it as a little hobby. And there's also some expenses up front. Hopefully, with the dues that I think I set up, it should work okay. So look out for that form. The link to the form, I'll put it on this Discord channel as well. And it'll also be on the Facebook channel as well.
Okay, great. All right, thanks to all of our panelists for joining us. Thank you so much for taking an hour of your time to share your experiences, and have a great night, everyone. I'll stick around for a few more minutes and try to answer a few more questions on my own, but the panelists, I want to respect your time and let you go. And so someone here in the chat
Thanks for having us.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So someone in this chat wanted to know about internet connectivity in other countries. Unfortunately, they didn't have any comments about that. I think that's like so far off their radar. They're just trying to get this thing built and delivered to America that that they have no real answer about that.
Can I say something regarding the yoke controversy?
Sure.
Okay, so I actually asked Chris about this. I asked him, first off, do you or your team have any experience actually driving a car with a yoke? And he said a lot of them do. And so I asked him, okay, so why would you go with something that you know is controversial? And he said, he basically said what it boiled down to is there's pros and cons, but the cons can, for the most part, be mitigated through like engineering. So like regarding things like, the hand-over-hand steering at lower speeds or lack thereof, for instance. So yeah, I understand that there's a lot of, people who are against it, and hopefully, any cons can be like worked out to engineered out. But I'm willing to give it a chance.
Yeah. I haven't driven a car with a yoke, and I'm kind of ambivalent about it. I think it'll be fine. I'm not like a race car driver. I'm not planning on doing any like crazy driving in it, so I think it'll be fine. Okay, let's see. Someone wanted to know autopilot updates. I did not ask any questions about autopilot. I think that that's low on their radar too. Autopilot is kind of low on the radar. They're trying to get the solar to work well, and so they're working on that. They're trying to make sure that the solar works and is reliable and won't break down, because that's one of their key features. And so things like towing, autopilot, off-road package, like those things are, I think, on the back burner.
Yeah, so I was actually standing by Chris when he was doing the live stream, and someone asked about comma.ai. He kind of gave a non-answer and just said that they would let people know sometime soon what they were going to do. But right after that, someone who was with me knows the comma people, and said that he had already heard from someone at comma that Aptera was talking to them.
Oh, that's interesting, and that's good information. And actually, Chris McCammon, who's one of their marketing team, worked for comma right before he came over to Aptera, so there is some connection between the two. And comma AI, for those of you guys don't know, is like this standalone package that you can buy, and as long as your car has the right kind of features, usually most cars that have lane keeping assist and adaptive cruise control, they can hook up to a car and make it pretty decent self-driving-ish. And I think it works pretty well. I haven't driven the Tesla autopilot, like the beta. I haven't seen those, but I think Tesla's trying to do everything, and comma is more like help you drive on the highway is my impression. And that's really the case. Use scenario I would want is something to just kind of make long highway drives a little bit less taxing. I can handle the city driving on my own.
I ran into somebody at the Arco, and I was filling up, and I was telling him about Aptera. Yeah, I heard about him. And then he wanted to show me about what you're talking about. He had some device that can put it on autopilot or semi-autopilot. Lane keep is what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, one other thing I wanted to mention was when I was at Fully Charged, when I was talking to Pablo Bucar, I was wondering, those on the front wheel pants, the yellow light strips that actually go from the front all the way to the top of the back. I wanted to know, I know that when they're clearance lights, when you use turn signal function, my question to Pablo was, is the front and the rear, the whole thing gonna flash, like a turn signal, or in four-way flasher mode? And he goes, yeah, it does, but we're not finalized because there are some regulations where we might not be able to do that. So we're still kind of in flux on that. So even stuff like that, they're trying to like nail down. You know,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Okay, so I think Don, I'm planning on going back to Carlsbad for a test drive in October or November. I want to go down when the Gamma is actually done. The Gamma, I could tell, was not done by the time for this fully charged event. It was like mostly done, but you could tell they rushed. They were getting rushed to make it presentable for the show. So when they're done, I want to go down there and when they're ready to give test drives and people. Their plan, they told me with the beta, was to use this vehicle to validate their efficiency claims, because their efficiency claims so far have been based on computer modeling, which is quite good, but you do need to validate it in the real world, and they were going to use this vehicle to validate their efficiency claims in the real world. And they told me that Gamma is a fully functional vehicle. It does highway speed. It does have the active belly cooling. It does have the 40 kilowatt battery. So this is the car they're going to do a lot of their solar validation of, like, does it actually get the number of miles that they think it will get, and that the computer simulation said it would. So after they do that, I think they'll be ready to give rides to media, and I'm sure you're going to see the big YouTubers go out there. You'll see probably Rich Rebuilds and maybe Jay Leno and all those guys. And then at some point, I'll go down there. But you could tell that the fit and finish wasn't, like, it's miles better than the Alpha, but like some of the window seams, you could tell like they rushed putting the window seams on there and things like that. But yeah, when they're done, so I'm hoping sometime in October or November I'll go down there.
As an additional note on Gamma, it is all-wheel drive.
Oh right, that's right. They mentioned that to you. So it should be a screamer. It's probably going to take off.
I'm getting the 250 all-wheel drive, which is supposedly the fastest one because of the light battery and power. We'll see.
Yeah, and they have a new inverter to run the motors, and so that'll be should be better than the alphas and the betas, because it's a more higher power inverter. So it probably needs to be detuned so it doesn't lose traction. Okay, so I'm not seeing any more questions, so I will wrap this up. Thanks again to our panelists for taking time out of their schedule to join us, and thanks all you guys for joining us for the live stream and for your questions. So have a great night, everyone.
Does anyone here have any questions? Like the panelists, do you have any questions?
All right. Good night, everyone.
See you again later, fellas. Thanks for organizing it, Steve.
Oh, yeah. We'll try to do this again sometime. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Checking out your channel, Jessica.
Yeah, I gotta check out your guys' channels.